The soft glow of the desk lamp illuminated motes dancing in the still air, each speck of dust a tiny star in the vast expanse of Henry's cluttered workshop. At the heart of this universe sat Henry himself, a tired clockmaker with eyes as blue and deep as the ocean and hands that trembled slightly, betraying the old man's weariness. In front of him lay a disassembled pocket watch, its intricate workings spread out like a cryptic message. With a sigh that spoke of countless repetitions, he began to reassemble the watch, each movement precise and practiced. But even as his hands moved, his eyes held a haunted look, staring not at the watch, but at some distant, terrible memory. As the last gear slotted into place, a faint smile touched his lips, only to vanish as quickly as it came. He wound the watch, and as the hands began their relentless march, he muttered to himself, "Always the same time, 3:16. Why?" Then, as if in answer to his unspoken question, the room was plunged into darkness. A loud crash from downstairs jolted Henry from his sleep. He sat up in bed, his heart pounding a frantic tattoo against his ribs, his eyes darting around the room in the darkness. For a moment, there was only silence, broken only by the sound of his own ragged breathing. Then he heard it again, a sound that sent a chill down his spine, the faint, regular tick-tock of a clock. With trembling hands, he reached for the bedside clock to silence it, only to find that its hands were stuck, frozen at 3:16 a.m., just like the watch in his dream. Panic rising within him, he threw back the covers and hurried to the window. Outside, the world was still and silent. Cars were frozen mid-motion, birds in mid-flight, even the wind seemed to have held its breath. People on the street below were caught in postures of everyday life, forever locked in time's embrace. But the strangest thing was the lack of sound. There was no wind rustling through the trees, no birds singing, no distant hum of traffic. It was as if the world had been put on pause. Henry stared out at this silent, motionless world, his mind struggling to comprehend what he was seeing. Was this real, or some elaborate dream? And if it was real, why was he the only one who could move? Suddenly, a voice broke the silence, raspy and ancient, echoing through his mind as if from the depths of time itself. "Time broke," it whispered, "and someone has been watching." The hairs on the back of Henry's neck prickled, and he whirled around to face the voice. In the corner of the room, he saw the faintest of shadows moving, shifting, and changing. As he watched, mesmerized, the shadows seemed to take on a life of its own, gliding towards an old grandfather clock in the room. With a creak that echoed through the silent house, the clock chimed 3 times, and as the last note faded away, the shadow reached out a hand and began to turn the clock's hands, adjusting them until they, too, were pointing to 3:16. Terror gripping his heart, Henry stumbled back, his eyes wide with disbelief. But the sight that greeted him was beyond anything he could have imagined. On the clock face, his own name was etched in ancient runes, each letter seeming to writhe and twist like a living thing. As he stared, entranced and horrified, the clock chimed again, and the shadow turned towards him, its eyes burning with an eerie, otherworldly light. "Who are you?" he whispered, his voice hoarse with fear. But the clockmaker knew, or he had a feeling that he already knew the answer to that question. He had always known, deep down, that there was more to his gift, more to the secrets held within the ticking hearts of his clocks. Now, with the world frozen around him, and a mysterious entity from another time stalking him through the shadows, he realized that his gift, his curse, was about to drag him into a mystery that he may never unravel. As the clock ticked relentlessly towards 3:16, Henry found himself at a crossroads, torn between the safety of ignorance and the terrifying allure of the truth. Whatever he chose, he knew that the decision would echo through time. But as the clock struck 3:16, the world exploded into a cacophony of sound and motion. But something was different. The sound of the clock was very clear. It was ticking loudly, almost aggressively. Henry looked down at the watch in his hands and saw that the second hand was spinning wildly, faster and faster, until it blurred into a tiny red dot. His reflection in the glass was no longer his. It was a jumbled mess of limbs and features, distorted and wrong. He tried to call out, but his voice was a strangled cry, lost in the chaos. Then everything went black. When Henry woke up, the room was dark, silent, empty. For a moment, he couldn't remember where he was or how he got there. Then he saw the clock on the nightstand, its hands frozen at 3:16. He sat up, his head pounding, and slowly the memories of the previous night came flooding back. The motionless world, the mysterious voice, the clockmaker's name carved in ancient runes. Henry shook his head, trying to clear the cobwebs from his mind. What had it all meant? Was he losing his sanity? Then he noticed something. In the dim light of the room, he could see a faint outline on the wall behind the bed. It was the shape of a pocket watch, its hands also frozen at 3:16. Henry stared at the apparition, his mind racing. Could it be a clue? A sign? Some kind of message? He got out of bed and cautiously approached the wall, his heart pounding in his chest. He reached out and pressed his fingers against the outline. It felt solid, real, and in that moment, Henry made a decision. Whatever the cost, he would uncover the mystery of the clockmaker's secret and break the curse that had trapped him in a never-ending loop of 3:16. After all, some mysteries were best left buried. Did you enjoy this? For more interesting videos like this, like and subscribe.